Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Real Time with MK. Before we start today, it's an interesting subject we are going to talk about, an interesting topic we are cover. We have a fantastic expert coming in. Before I call upon my guest, I want to give a little bit about the origin story of the show, right? So, uh, it's just a second. Okay, sorry, there was a okay. Just a second. Just a sec. Just a sec. All right. So just to give a little bit background about, sorry for that. We when we started off this, when the pandemic hit us, we started getting a lot of concerns and queries from a lot of organizations from various industries. People were struggling. The one major challenge everybody was facing was how to manage customer experience during these times like these, right? So it was a tough challenge because people had no idea. Everybody went on lockdowns. Customers were struggling to reach out to companies, etc., etc. So one of the industries which stood out in this struggle was fintech. I love fintech. We all love fintech. It has made our lives so much easier. So what happened was when I reached out to my connections, my friends in fintech industry, everybody had this question that we have no clue how to maintain the customer experience levels which we are used to or we were striving for delivering, right? So that's why I decided, I started thinking about, okay, I am surrounded by experts who are good at CX, who are good at running business processes, who are good at outsourcing these kind of processes. So that's when I ran this idea with some of my colleagues, and they were all game for it. That's how Real Time with MK took birth, right? So we are on episode 5. We already spoke a lot about e-commerce outsourcing. We spoke about outsourcing in general. We spoke about how to manage your contact center during COVID-19. We covered all this. So one of those experts has agreed to join me again. So I have Rudraksh Singh Parbar with me today. He is uh, he's the VP of Business Process Outsourcing at Matson Kumar. He brings with him more than 15 years of experience in operations manager management and transactional quality. He has set up several BPO programs for several industries, offshore and bilingual, across industries like BFSI, mortgage, payment and trades, fintech, healthcare, you name it. He has done all that. So he, prior to Matson Kumar, he was working with Capgemini, iGate, and Aegis, and he currently runs lot of processes for a lot of fintech organizations as well. So today he's going to share some insights on how to deliver good customer experience for fintech players. So let's, without further ado, I'm going to bring him on. Hey Rudraksh, welcome.
Hey Vivek, thanks for
Can you?
having me again.
No worries, it's my pleasure. I can speak to you again and again and again on topics which are close to your heart and the kind of work you would do. So, today's episode is about customer experience and fintech players. Because as I was introducing you before that, I was mentioning that fintech is one of those industries which went clueless for a certain period of time when all this pandemic mayhem kicked in, right? So, we want to pick your brain on some insights about how fintech players can still manage to deliver an optimal customer experience during these times. So I have curated a set of questions for you. Uh,
Okay.
so shall we start off?
Yes, please. I
All right.
hope I'll be able to add value to our conversation and give you some insights to the best of my knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my first question straight out of the gate is, I want to know about how this pandemic has impacted fintech players from a CX standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, see, pandemic overall has hit every industry, every large service operations, and it has, of course, hit majorly impacted CX for all the verticals that we deal with as an outsourcing partner to a lot of clients. So fintech is definitely one of them. Fintech, the whole landscape of financial services that the fintech has to offer, how we use and automate these financial services now are pretty much segmented into various categories. And I'm right now limiting it to India as a geography, and we can talk about other geographies as well. But if I talk about India, there are two major segments that fintech has a clear divide into. One, of course, being the lending part of the fintech operations, and two is the payment. So when I say lending, I mean the peer-to-peer lending, the point of sales, as an aggregator, as a marketplace lending, and then there are, of course, direct and indirect lendings also. So let's go on with understanding how CX was affected here and how it was impacted here on the lending side of things. So of course, assessing the overall needs and cash flows of an individual or business has become very difficult with the whole mayhem and unprecedented times that we are in. It is definitely very difficult for underwriters to really assess the requirements and to put forward give and put forward solutions and offer services. So, for example, any short-term loan right now, if a fintech is to lend out, will definitely pose a risk. So there's a lot of pressure on the underwriters here. With that, the loan disbursements and the overall qualifications goes down. With that happening, the overall customer experience is definitely getting hit. People were expecting to get a pre-approved loan, and all of a sudden, with certain change in the overall environment that is going around, he or she is not qualifying for a loan disbursement. So definitely, customer experience has taken that hit. This is on the lending side. I would also say that as an internal department to any fintech operations, collections was also under pressure until moratorium hit. Collections as a department will always have the pressure of getting the receivables on time, not letting the delinquency go up to a certain level so that the cash flows can be well maintained and utilized. Because a lot of our lending fintech organizations that we deal with are also tied up with a lot of banks and non-banking financial companies also. So what that means is these tie-ups can also be at risk if there is there's enough not enough amount of cash flows moving. With the tie-ups going, how it will impact the customer experience? It's a clear-cut impact to the customer experience, because I, as a customer, knew for a fact that this organization was tied up with an ex-bank, and today I come to know that the tie-up is not there anymore. It definitely brings about trust issues, and so it is clearly the pandemic situation has adversely affected overall customer experience for all sorts of companies, and fintechs are no exceptions. If I talk about the payment side of the business, payment side of the business has seen an uptick in their overall work volumes and the interactions. In fact, it has gone almost 1/3 the regular operational volumes that they were looking at. So with that came different set of challenges. With that came issues with back-end team not working, not having the right processes to automate things quickly enough to deliver to the client. So a lot of backlog was being created. So we, as outsourced third-party service providers, we understand those challenges because it directly impacts the customer experience. So yeah, I mean, these two segments, lending and payments, have of course had a major impact on their customer experience, and we'll talk more about how to best manage that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody, the entire ecosystem has got impacted. Even customers have been struggling to either pay back or get new loans, etc., etc. All right. Yeah. So my next question will be about the solution part of it. I'm not gonna ask you the question because I want to go it step by step. So what kind of actions or maybe digital interventions you think could have helped fintech players manage the sudden shock while delivering a good experience, still delivering while delivering the good experience to their customers? What kind of actions or digital interventions would have helped them?
Okay. So see, Vivek, if I have my data correct, almost 75-80% of our banking customers today are on digital platforms or on
Right.
digital channels. So of course, digital intervention is very much important. I'll start with not a pure digital intervention, but I'll start with basic actions that fintechs have and must take if someone have not yet. The very first one being making the signups, the overall registration process, very quick and easy. Reducing complexities around any process, be it for registration, be it for any kind of underwriting or disbursements, has to be looked into, automated well, and make it much more simpler for the end customer. So I think that sets the tone of making things a little easier. A quick sign up, because the customer behavior has changed over the last few decades. Fintechs being into existence for the last 3 to 5 years, I would say, has made, of course, millennials have been able to adapt to a lot of these changes, but there are still a lot of people who are used to traditional banking and traditional ways of how things were offered to them. To get them onto your platform, you need to have the overall patience being dealt very well. So reducing complexity and making signups easier is one very basic action that anyone could have taken. If I go on to the digital side of things, I think having a very strong omni-channel support. I mean, I'm a very big fan of omni-channel support and strong platforms, because that gives the end customer the capability to make transactions, look at, control their finances on various different channels. You can have an app, you can have websites, social media is all over. Helping customers being, customers have a sense of well-being with social media around. So with that, I think an omni-channel support which helps you manage all those interactions and track and control your customers well is important. And as a part of the package, as a part of the omni-channel package, a very intelligent and a smart customer relationship management tool or an interface is also very important. Why I say that is because that gives you the early cues by understanding, by various algorithms that can be plugged into it, by understanding customer sentiments and what is it that at the given situation, looking at the needs of the customer, understanding the very subtle cues that come out of various levels of interactions. The agent or the interaction analyst on the other side should be able to offer those products and services to the customer that they're actually looking for. I mean, I'll just give you an example. If for example there is my car loan has become cheaper just about a day back, and I have some intelligence through my CRM and an omni-channel platform that I've been, as a customer, X has been searching for car insurance for the last 30 days. There are very high chances that they would have got it by now, but that gives you a very subtle cue to offer the car insurance, because the prices have also kind of gone down. So,
Right.
an intelligent interface will help you cater to all those challenges and elevate your customer experience.
Right. So the one key word which you mentioned here is omni-channel. So I have some questions set on that as well, because omni-channel is the way to go for any industry, especially fintech. So I'm going to cover that in the upcoming questions. All right. Thank you for the answer, Virat. So my next question will be, you manage a lot of processes which belongs to some of the leading fintech companies, right? So I wanted to know, this is just an outlier question. It's not related to the conversation we are having right now. But my question will be, during this pandemic, what kind of concerns or queries top the list for these companies? What were customers calling in for or chatting in for, or social media queries you're managing? What kind of queries top the list?
Interesting. Well, if I have to talk about the overall interactions, my top interaction drivers have been one, an extra line of credit. people are looking for an extra line of credit at this given time. Whether or not they qualify is something that, of course, there is a process around it, and there are certain protocols around it. But this definitely has been one of them. And with moratorium kicking in, there have been a lot of inquiry around moratorium. And this is, I'm talking about the lending side of the
Right.
fintech firm. How is the moratorium going to affect me? What positive things can I take out from them, or from the whole, the whole facilitation? What is the amount that will help me kind of sustain the moratorium phase? What is the longevity of the moratorium? So around moratoriums, there have been n number of questions, and they've been our top interaction drivers. But line of credit, and then very interestingly, and please don't quote me for it, but very interestingly, we've seen a lot of queries around CIBIL not being updated timely and very well. So that means
Okay.
that there have been issues at the back end where the reporting has not been done enough or accurate enough, and the CIBIL scores are, kind of taken a hit. So that's on the lending side. On the payment side, things were all gung ho on the payment side of things, be it UPI, be it wallets, and and the regular bill payments also, of course, clubbed into one gamut of services. The main questions there were that the payments were failing. Like I said, the back end was under a lot of pressure. A lot of certain processes that pushes certain certain processes that will eventually lead to an outcome were kind of held back because of the uptick on the volumes. So that was one. Refunds not being done on time. So something had to be refunded. There is a turnaround around it. For some reasons, the refunds weren't pushed at the right
Right.
time. So things like that. So these, between the lending and the payment side of fintech operations, these were the top interaction drivers. If I have answered your question well, if that's
Right.
what
Right.
you were looking
Absolutely.
for.
Yeah, I was looking for exactly. I was expecting only moratorium and questions around that, but you shared more information and more points on that. Fantastic. Right. So my next question, I want to move on to some of the top challenges. Like I'm gonna go pre-COVID time, or maybe once the COVID is over, post-COVID. So I want to talk about customer experience in general. Let's keep COVID aside for a second. So I want to know that when I talk about customer experience, because it encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses the culture shift, technology, people, a lot of things. So I want to know what are the top challenges these fintech players face when it comes to delivering a fantastic customer experience.
See, fantastic customer experience is directly related to how engaged you are with the customer. Um, and it has certainly been a challenge during these times when people are so worried about their finances. There will always be trust issues during these times, because such are the times where your unethical activities also kick in, and it is very important for all fintech operations to build that trust and transparency with the customer, so that it doesn't really affect their relationship with the customer. So
Right.
what I'm trying to say here is keeping your customer engaged at all times, and there are ways of doing it. We'll talk a little in detail about that. But keeping your customers engaged is the biggest challenge, and tracking your customer information. I think tracking your customer details and information is key to successful and elevated customer experience at this time.
Right.
It is not about banking transactions anymore. That's very limited information. It is, companies should try doing psychometric gamifications, have all of those techniques tested, to track customer behavior and sentiments. So I think
Right.
a mix of two things, keeping them engaged and tracking information very well. Need to know the as on date situation with the customer. Need to know the as on status of their employment, status of how they're managing their finances, and making it fun for them. At the same
Right.
time, you got to through your application websites, very clear information, very legitimate and clear guidelines, so to say, put out in front of them, is the key to a very high elevated customer experience at this time. So if we tackle these challenges well, you are bound to have a seamless operations and a very high in loyalty customer base with you. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So even as a customer, we all hate it when we have to repeat the same things again and again, and the agent doesn't, on the other side of the phone, doesn't understand what you're talking about, right? So that is obviously one of the bummers when you have a call to any company for that matter, right? So moving on from challenges, I want to know that when it comes to customer experience, again for fintech organizations, what are the key factors to be kept in mind?
Well, key factors, I think, first things first, I think every organization, every fintech organization should have a customer experience management strategy or a program, okay,
Right.
that helps you control, track, and also design, interactions at all touch points for, of course, exceeded results and more than what is expected by the regular customers. I think with that in place, you would want to see how you would want to bring about digital interventions there. Because once you understand that there is a team that works on your customer experience management, there are certain strategies around it, then you would need to assess if things like an omni-channel support, okay, if how relevant to your business is that, how effectively would you want to drive that. So that's number one. Number two would be to inculcate, there is something called as natural language processing, which
Right.
is the language chatbots use to respond to customers. Now,
Right.
if you have a good NLP based chatbot, I mean, very live, very real time in environment, and it obviously offers correct responses by the whole usage of it. So whether you would want to have an omni-channel strategy as a part of your customer experience management, whether should you have NLP chatbots placed, is something that you need to, as an organization, you need to reassess. Not just like you said, not just during the times of COVID. I think pre-COVID also, it was the need to assess these technological advancements into your ecosystem. And one thing which kind of takes a backseat, but it's very important to understand, is the talent that we are, the overall talent acquisition. Having a tech background and having a financial background clubbed together is the right talent that you would want to have on your team, because
Okay.
they understand the whole working of fintech. A traditional banking guy would probably be very hell-bent on certain processes that the banking world follows.
Right.
The
Right.
whole a pure tech guy who doesn't have anything to do with banking as a domain would have his or own apprehensions on applying certain processes. So it has to be a mix of both. So I think identifying the right talent through these subtle filters, putting the right digital platform, be it omni-channel, be it a NLP chatbot that you would want to have, and making all of that a part of your customer experience management program. So having
Right.
one customer experience management program and tracking that through and through is the need of the hour.
Right, right. So that talent part, I'm pretty sure fintech leaders who are watching the show or maybe watch later, I'm pretty sure they will take a note of that, because that is something that's like a salient feature. You just put it out there, right? So you touched upon on the big word omni-channel customer experience. So I want to know that how much of how key is that for fintech players today? And if somebody wants to go omni-channel when it comes to their customer experience, what is your advice for them?
See, I'll start off. I don't know. I think I'll give this to you as an answer through an example. So
Right,
if for example Vivek has a problem with one of his payment applications,
right,
he goes on Twitter and he tweets his problem. Uh,
right,
he whether he gets a response or not, he calls in the customer care the very next day, which is
Right.
another way of interacting with the brand. Now, when you call, would Vivek expect that person on the phone or that person taking up your chat, whatever ways of interactions you're dealing with? Would Vivek expect him to know about the Twitter message that you had sent across? Just a yes or no
Yeah.
from you. You would,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and these things can only happen if you have a very strong omni-channel support. So all
Right.
your various platforms and channels of interactions talk to each other. They are getting consolidated at one place, which anyone, if a human being or if there is a bot that is dealing
Right.
with the customer, would have a sense of that, would know at the back of the mind that this problem is definitely what probably Vivek is calling in for. So
Right.
I think omni-channel support is the key to a lot of issues that not just fintech, and I know we are limiting it to fintech right now, but a lot of other organizations also across verticals that are facing issues with their customer experience. Omni-channel has to be a part of your customer experience management program, is
Right.
what I would say.
Fantastic. Yeah, that actually the example which you gave, it will be super cool also for the customer to know that the agent knows so much about my other interactions on other channels also. Fantastic.
Right.
Right. So my next question will be about when you talk about a good customer experience strategy, there are two things which stand out. Number one is excuse me. Number one is focusing on customer interactions and also keeping your customers engaged. These are the two key steps or key focus areas for a good CX strategy. So what is your advice on fintech players if they want to stay on top of these two things?
See, I told you, engagement is definitely a very big challenge. And like I said, there are ways to manage it. I can probably talk about some best practices that we offer to a lot of our clients. One being the news feeds. So your applications, your website can have a certain, with the use of AI, certain algorithms can be built to personalize certain news feeds that you provide to the customer. So if I've been searching, if my search queries have been on say, a recent acquisition,
The slight disturbance of the line. Is it from your end or is it
I,
from my end?
I also checked this a little. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
sure. Is it
Please
have
go
you
ahead.
got it?
For the background. Okay, please continue.
Okay. Can you hear me right?
Yeah,
Okay. So I was saying that either through your app or through the website, if a news feed can be personalized, the customer itself gets a lot of attention. Customer, you get a lot of your customer attention because that news feed is personalized. So I think that is one way of that's one way of course. I'm sorry if the disturbance is still coming in.
there I think. I don't know. Something is wrong there.
Okay. If you can hear me, I continue.
There.
The other thing is, of course, we talked about news feeds as one of the areas that can be used as a part of your engagement strategy. The other thing is, I talked about gamification, where how how creatively you can use gamification to keep your customers engaged. I know of organizations that are doing these. They're giving virtual badges to people who save enough, who invest enough. You can run various kind of competitions at a very big level also, at a city level, at a national level also. Through these gamifications, you can keep a lot of customers engaged, especially customers who understand your overall vision as an organization. And of course, the major organizations, the fintechs that are working have one goal, which is to give financial freedom to a lot of people, have financial freedom, financial assistance, any kind of financial services in a different way and in the best way, be it through automation or their own business models. So I think I talked about news feeds. I talked about gamification. I would also say pushing relevant and good content is very important, to keep
Right.
the customer engaged. If you know for a fact that the customer has been investing in a certain trade, you would want to give him or her more insights on that. So that is another level of engagement. And finally, I would say, and like I said, talent acquisition, I would say here, I would say human touch point also plays a very big role. you know,
Right.
um, you will always have a set of people who will be very traditional in their approach, and they would still want their resource managers calling them, just like the old days, your bank managers calling you. So I think we also help a lot of organizations do that through welcome calls, where we personally call the customer and welcome them on board on the platform, ask them if they're very clear on the terms and conditions that they signed up for, ask them whether they understand the policies, they understand the terms very well, and they understand the services that they've signed up for.
Right. Right.
And as a matter of fact, this the whole activity of doing that has given us enough insights that we take back to the business to help them improve on the overall products and the services that they are providing. So I think
Right.
it's a great cycle to have. So news feeds have gamification built in, have the right touch points by humans, and of course push content, relevant content. You will keep your customers engaged for sure.
Right. I can understand. It's almost like keeping your customer in the center of every activity you are planning, so that they are engaged in the right way. Fantastic. I think that's a lot of points on that question. Okay, coming to next question, I wanna talk about a little bit about brand and trust. Okay, so if fintech players, if they want to ensure transparency and build trust in their brand, can they do it by focusing on CX?
I think building trust and CX go hand in hand. Uh, if you have customers' trust, you've taken care of part of the overall experience already.
Right.
Um, the and transparency and trust are not very difficult things to deal with, and at the same time it can be the most difficult thing as well.
Right.
So how I think building credibility of a brand for any fintech organization is very important. How you do that is the very simple ways of doing it. Have very clear information laid out on your website or application, have clear pricings laid out of all the services, be very informative, don't be too salesy. I think when you read about certain, so I won't take any names, but when you read about certain fintech services, you feel that they're being too salesy, and that kind of, you know, some customers will have their own hesitations in going for your services if your website is too salesy or your application talks too much of sales and how they really want to make you the customer. So I think
Right.
what else? I think testimonies, rather than having very heavy FAQs on your website, have a very simple FAQ, but a heavier testimony by real testimony by people. I mean, that human to human, word of mouth really works even till date.
Right.
Um, if I have to think of more things, I think if the fintech organization has had a few press releases in the past, you might want to show that to build trust. Um,
Right.
if there have been so interestingly, let me also talk about a campaign that we run for a fintech operations business, um, where idea is to take certain piece of the volume where wrong things were initially put forward. So we outcall those customers, and we correct, and we tell them that there was a mistake that was made, and we correct that with whatever the next steps are. So I
Right.
think admitting to, if you've made a mistake, admitting to it and reaching out to customers proactively really helps as a strategy, and it has really helped the brand that we work for. It has really helped them. So having that kind of an outreach to the customer also builds a lot of trust. So yeah, I think
All
these
right.
were the few things that should be
Right.
inculcated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think very valid points on those steps, which can really build the trust in the brand. Because fintech is one area where the competition is very stiff. You know, you have to have the right measures, the right actions in place to build that trust for sure. Right. So now, since I have you here, I want to touch upon outsourcing a little bit, right? So because you are a champion of that. So how can business process outsourcing help fintech players deliver a superior CX? Straightforward question for you.
Okay. So outsourcing can really help fintech operations and businesses in many ways, but I'll touch upon a few. Uh, See, cost effectiveness has been the core reason why people were outsourcing any business operations, but that has kind of taken a backseat. Of course, we still cost effective than any other in-house operations or insights team, but I would still say I leave the cost effective part a little aside. I would say better and quicker talent acquisition, which is not very easy when you're at the core of your business and you're involved in managing day in day out strategies of how to run your operations and your business. You would not have the time and leverage to rampantly build bigger teams, effectively acquire talent, which we help them with. Then a 24/7 kind of an environment. No fintech operations, no business right now that I know of can do a 24/7 kind of an environment within their in-house system. So there is a clear need of having a 24/7 looking at how customers' lifestyles are nowadays. We need to have a 24/7 operations. We need to have 24/7 of interaction. So the operations has to go on through that level of coverage. So
Right.
outsourcing really helps in these few aspects, and of course, the customer experience management program that I was talking about.
Right.
It can be very well evaluated and developed when given to an outsourcing partner, because
Right.
we have process excellence and business excellence folks who we put onto this team who only and only focus on your customer experience management. They are
Right.
not running operations. My operation leaders and managers will be different, and a separate team than the ones that will be managing customer experience. So that's
Right.
how outsourcing can help. And one very big area is, you know it's always good to have a third party check, an unbiased check on any kind of service operations. And that can only happen if you outsource your basic compliance, your audit verifications, your verifications of transactions. Wherever you need a quality check, wherever you need an interaction analytic check, you need to have that as a separate unit to do away with the bias. So I think these are certain things that outsourcing can really help in tech operation and have been doing a wonderful job ever since fintech companies have started to outsource. So I mean, you will have a lot of references if you reach out to any of our clients and ask them how their processes are going. So yeah, I think BPOs can really contribute to this.
Right. So there's a static there. I don't know why. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I have been talking to some of the fintech leaders in my LinkedIn network. So they have told me that they outsource predominantly for the same exact reasons you mentioned. You know, they want to focus on growing the business, but whereas the CX strategy, etc., is managed by their partners and things like that. Fantastic. So my follow-up question to that question is, what kind of processes are majorly outsourced by fintech players, and what is the reason behind it? Reason you have already mentioned. What kind of processes are predominantly outsourced?
There's a whole gamut of services that we that we offer to our fintech partners. Um, I'll start with lead generation, creating the interest. Even for
Right.
a pre-approved loan, there is always a need of reaching out to the customer and letting that customer know that there is a pre-approved loan process. So,
Right. Right.
so of course, lead generation through outbound calling is one. A lot of fintech operations have realized that their inside sales teams weren't doing very well because
Right.
that was not before. So they also outsource their sales businesses to us. So from lead generation to sales, that means putting a closure to the final disbursements, and if there are, and if I not only talk about lending, but if I talk about other services, be it insurance that is to be sold over the phone, that also is something that we deal with as one of our processes. Um, Welcome calls I've already talked about, where we onboard new customers. We ensure that we give them a call and we welcome them aboard and have everything clearly laid out. So there definitely is an outflow when you do welcome call. When I say outflow, there's a business outflow because some customers would turn around and say, you know what, I did not know about this and I'm not up for it. But it's better to be straightforward, very proactive enough, and tell them that this is the case. This is what you've signed up for. If you have any issues, we try. So with that builds another area of our expertise, which is attention. So one, we are doing that welcome call. We're ensuring that the customer knows everything that he signed up for. And if there are apprehensions, we have another queue, which retains those kind of customers, which has the authority to go out and modulate a few products to offer the customer. So I think these are all connecting the dots. Very important process that needs to be outsourced. And if anyone from the fintech world has joined in, they would agree. The biggest risk for any fintech organization, lending organization, is the first payment default. If your first payment has been defaulted upon, that is a major red alert. We come in as business outsourcing partners to them, and we do those alerts to them, and also try and engage the customer to at least do the first level of collections. Very early stage, but any first payment defaults are a big risk to any lending operations. So
Right.
that's definitely another factor. Then, if I talk about various other interactions, we take care of text messages. There is a different stream of messaging, uh, be it through the normal regular SMSs or the WhatsApp, because WhatsApp for business is on. So
Right.
now it's a different stream of interaction altogether.
Right.
Then we also do a lot of social media coverage. So a lot of social media interactions are being dealt with. Of course, we have certain tools and systems in place to do that because not everything is manual. We make the best use of artificial intelligence and our experience on NLP chatbots to best manage those when it comes to chat interactions. Uh, we offer, as an outsourcing partner, we also offer benchmarking services, which a lot of fintech, in in today's time, are opting for because they want to see where they are in comparison to their other competitors. So I think we
Right.
we have a lot of that data already with us. We, of course, keeping the non-disclosure agreements in place, making sure that we are not there is no conflict of business with any of
Right.
our clients. We keep that
Right.
as very integral part to our business and overall operational excellence that we manage. Um, Emails, we do a lot of email support for a lot of our clients, where we have seen very high redundancies, not only in chats but also in emails. We've seen there are a very specific set of people or customers, I would say, who are email friendly.
Right.
So identifying that for each of your business and giving it back to you as an insight is something that one of our team also does.
Right.
Um, I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, yeah. We also help a lot of companies in enhancing their self help. We call it self care in a few LOBs,
Right.
but the self help options through IVR enhancements or taxonomy services that we give them on their website, and even the application technology for that matter. So yeah, I mean these were some of them, and of course I've needless to say, our inbound queue management, our inbound regular after sales queues, queries that come in is also being managed by our team for a lot of our clients.
Right. I think if any fintech wants to manage their customer experience well, I think you have each and everything for them, I guess. So that's fantastic to hear that, because many of the things I was not even aware of. So that's fantastic. So next one, my final question today, and my sincere apologies today. There have been a lot of technical challenges I'm facing. A lot of static people are complaining to me on WhatsApp, but I can't do anything about it right now. So my final question will be, it's again driving the point home. You have already spoken about it. So what will be your 2 cents or your advice to fintech players who are striving to deliver the best experience to their customers?
Uh, I would say let's start with the first thing. First things first. Assess and decide on the level of digital transformation or technological advancements you want to make within your ecosystem. Once you have that, and of course, if you need help, hit us up for that. But this should be your first step of understanding the level of some people. Some companies, some fintech operations and organizations would not need the whole array of services that comes as a part of your omni-channel support package, or you know there can be various levels of digital transformation. So you have to really understand and assess internally first that what is it that you're striving to achieve. So that's number one. Number two, I would say, is you keep it simple. Like I said, have very clear guidelines and very clear processes laid out, and ensure that with these clear processes, the customer has the overall sense of well-being of being interactive enough on any of the digital platforms. That's number two. And the third thing is, I would say, understand you already know your core. So anything which is not your core, outsource that work. Understand the benefits of outsourcing whatever is not core to your business, because a lot of case studies are out there that you can use and decide. So three things: decide on the digital transformation, keep it simple, and outsource whatever is not core to you as a business. So yeah,
All
that would be my advice for all the fintech businesses out there.
right, good. Actually, that's a good 3 point advice for fintech guys. And thank you so much, Rudraksh, for joining me. I'll be bringing you back because I want to tackle CX in detail for several industries, which I have in conversation with people on LinkedIn and other platforms. So I'll make sure that you come back again and again on the show. Thank you so much for your time, and
Thanks
it
for
was
having me.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for it. Bye bye.
All right. So, my sincere apologies, guys. Today it was a horrible day because with the technical challenge, a lot of static, and also some kind of scheduling issues with LinkedIn. But I hope you enjoyed the show. Nevertheless, Rudraksh packs a punch when it comes to customer experience and business process outsourcing. So, fintech players, the baseline, key takeaway is this: focus on your core areas and try to outsource the things which can enhance your customer experience, especially during tough times like these. So, I will see you all next week with another guest on another topic. I want all of you to stay safe, and thank you for watching Real Time with MK.